Senator Thune has joined us, and we welcome him.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to you and Senator Hatch for holding this hearing today, and I want to thank our witnesses for being here. I think many Americans would be surprised to know that the majority of our nation's exports are manufactured goods. And while many manufacturers face pressure from foreign competitors, the fact is that trade agreements, when they are enforced, make our trading partners play by the rules, and I think that's been very successful in encouraging U.S. exports. So if you look at the countries around the world with whom we do business, those with whom we have free trade agreements, they constitute a big part of our manufactured exports, and I think it's something we need to continue to do is aggressively expand those trade relationships through trade agreements, and we need a renewed and strengthened TPA in order to do that. So let me put my plug in, as I'm sure some of my colleagues, including Senator Hatch, have already done. Ms. Strom, I'd like to ask a question about what you see in terms of the increasing trend of trading partners using non-tariff barriers as a way to block access to markets and unfairly block the flow of trade. What are the emerging trade barriers for IT goods and services? We see a lot of those when we talk about agricultural exports, and that's something that I'm a little bit more familiar with, but what areas when it comes to the goods and services that a company like yours exports, what types of non-trade barriers, or non-tariff barriers, I should say, do you run into?
Well, thank you, Senator. What we see is preferential focus, as Mr. Ezell discussed about the PMA in India, where governments are attempting to set preferential standards for locally developed technologies. And then those are implemented to the exclusion of other technology that may in fact be better. And this can limit the ability to bring leading-edge product to market. Also, as Mr. Ezell pointed out, because of the scale of operations that are required in our high fixed cost businesses, in order for us to be successful, we need to be able to sell our product in very high volume. And as countries limit our access to those markets through discriminatory standards or even through technology mandates, it reduces our ability to be competitive with our products, both from a cost standpoint as well as an access standpoint.
Mr. Kimber, there's a perception that exporting is generally something done only by multinational companies. And your company has 29 employees, yet you export the majority of what you manufacture to nearly 60 countries around the world, I understand. So what particular challenges does a smaller company like yours face in becoming an exporter, and is there anything that Congress can do to make that process easier?
Well, the trade agreements, so that the tariffs are equalized and intellectual property rights are protected, is really key. For instance, we had a case where we had a serious inquiry from Vietnam years ago, and because we sell parts to our own competitors, what they didn't realize was when they called into one of our divisions to buy our own brand name printed on parts that they wanted to buy from us to put on counterfeit goods, that they were busted. So if we would have had a trade agreement with Vietnam at the time, I think that we would have stood a much better chance of being in that country legitimately. And so it has kind of a follow-on. And if I could draw a parallel between the type of development and research that we do, along with bringing an actual product to market, with the legislative product, it has to be the same way. If we design and just continue to redesign and never bring a product to market, then we don't ever know what we're doing, and we will get eaten alive by our competitors. And so I think that that's a fair analogy between development of legislation and agreements and development of actual technology and products.
In your estimation, is this problem of counterfeit goods getting better or worse?
It is getting worse. We pay a lot of money to counsel just to take care of eBay, and it's just like whack-a-mole. We can identify and we can figure it out, but It's tough, and it's not just that they're competing with a product that mimics our technology. They're actually using our own brand name and our own trade dress.
Are there additional steps you think that we ought to be taking?
Yes, I think Senator Hatch's bill, where it allows or requires, say, Border Patrol, the customs people to actually, if there's a product coming into the States that says Kimber Cable on it, that they can contact us and say, we don't think this is yours because we think that all of your product is made in the U.S. And so we can put a stop to that right there. And so if we can impede that, it means we discourage it. And if you discourage bad behavior long enough, hopefully it goes away.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, my time has expired. Thank you. Thank you all.